Hey, everybody, welcome back to Telemedicine Talks. This is Leo Damasco, the host of Telemedicine Talks, with a guest that I've been trying to get on for a while now after I first met them in the ATA. I was walking the booths in the ATA and I ran into their booth, a Chipper Digital booth, and we'll talk more about that later. But this is Julio Morales. Julio Morales is a veteran marketing leader with more than 20 years doing branding, product, and digital strategy. He's the senior director of marketing at an LGBTQ plus telehealth company, and he led marketing growth and brand success, partnering with over 42 LGBTQ plus focused nonprofits and community clinics to drive patient acquisition and awareness. Now, this was especially interesting to me because I'm all about access, telemedicine, reaching out to different populations, different people that maybe don't have the adequate access. And the LGBTQ plus community is known for access discrepancies. So I just wanted to talk with him to pick his brain and see his story and kind of what his experiences has led him to and just learn from that. Julio, thank you so much for joining. I totally appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Thanks for that introduction. Something that you said about my previous role at this LGBTQ focused telehealth organization. It's work that I did back in 2020 for a little over 3 years. And it was a work that was extremely meaningful, exactly for the reason that you gave the discrepancies in access to essential healthcare for communities like the LGBTQ community, underserved communities, populations that are somewhat harder to reach because they don't have the same resources that, other people may have, like access to healthcare, having a proper health network nearby. They're not isolated in prep deserts. And I say prep because it's an important medication that was part of the offer at this telehealth organization. So yeah, as you were saying, the discrepancy is something that really motivated me to get involved in 2020 with this organization. Today, and that's something that I eventually will talk about today, I'm currently leading a team of digital strategists at an organization that I started back in 2023, Chipper Digital. And all we do, myself and my team, is focus on creating campaigns, digital strategies that help small businesses, big organizations in building campaigns that are relatable and impactful and really click with the LGBTQ audience in a way that is meaningful. No more pinkwashing, no
Yep.
more thinking about just June for the time or the season to try to connect with the audience. We're all about building a digital footprint across the board throughout the year so that brands and, as I said, small and big, can see the incredible impact that it can have to their bottom line, their business, to consider the LGBTQ audience, the community, as an important part of their market.
Yeah, no, and it's important. You've touched on several important kind of thought processes there, right? It's something that needs to, the focus is not just June Pride Month, right? This is something that needs to play a prominent role in the entire calendar year, not just, hey, this one push where everybody's all excited about it and then just forgotten for the rest of the year. And you're talking about these prep deserts or really just care deserts where the communities scattered all across the United States. But unfortunately, if you're looking at the current situation right now, some states are actually retracting and actually declining care or making it even harder for the community to access the needed care that they deserve. I think this is a huge part and a huge role where telemedicine comes in, right? Because the reach, you could have one person here and their expertise and their reach is goes beyond state borders, so forth and so on, right? Rewind though, let's go back and get to know a little bit more about you. What brought you into healthcare and the LGBTQ plus telemedicine environment specifically? How did you find yourself in that?
Yeah, I have been doing marketing for over 20 years. And back in 2018, I found myself really looking for a new opportunity, a new direction for to do something that had more of an impact in people's lives, a real impact. I was tired of doing the same thing, making other people money and really having no real impact and nothing that really made me feel like I was making a difference in the world. Around that same time, I met a few people that were in the process of launching a telemedicine platform and something that was focused on just the LGBTQ audience. And that's why I decided to jump in onto this opportunity. They were looking for someone who had the experience in digital, someone who knew how to really build messaging communication strategies that were focused on the community, specifically MSM, that stands for Men Who Sleep with Men, because they were going to be, that company was just going to be focused on getting PrEP to the community. PrEP is a pill that when taken as prescribed can prevent a person from ever getting HIV. It's extremely effective. It's 99% effective. There are a few brands out there, Descovy, Truvada. Today, there's an injectable
Yeah,
that,
the injectable.
yeah, that it's actually out in the market today and it's accessible today. So yeah, so I got involved with this organization, and the beauty of being part of this organization was that I was the third hire, and we really built that from the bottom up, and it was extremely fulfilling because we were able to reach, as you were saying, communities that otherwise wouldn't have the access to essential care and an important medication for prevention, for HIV prevention, like PrEP.
Yeah. Yeah, and have experience in that kind of care too. And it's amazing how many people comment on, my primary care doesn't know about this medication or even encourages not using the medication because they don't fully understand the risk benefit ratio that it provides for the community. I think, yeah, movements and opportunities like that is critical, I think,
Yeah.
in providing adequate care. Now, you mentioned that you've had some experience with just marketing in general before you moved to telemedicine, telehealth. And then when you moved to telehealth and built this company, you obviously, dove headfirst into the telemedicine environment. What is different with the marketing in the telemedicine space versus just the brick and mortar space or the physical space? What did you find different and what did you find challenging? Yeah, can you comment on that?
Yeah, of course. When it comes to telemedicine, I think that most important is really connecting with the client. Several organizations will refer to patients as clients or patients.
Mhm.
So I'll use both throughout. But one of the most important things is finding a way to personalize the engagement that you're going to have with that
Yeah,
client, with the patient. At the end of the day, telemedicine is trying to break access barriers.
yeah,
It's trying to provide care that can happen on your phone, that can happen in your sitting at a table with your computer in front of you. So it's all about access, but that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any effort in making that experience personable,
yeah,
humanize it. I think that is essential, that is key. Of course, it's important to have a effective and seamless sign up process, that communication and the different touch points with that client and that patient are clearly delineated, and everything is seamless, and it makes that patient, that client feel like we are reading their mind, what they're getting an email reminder when
yeah,
we are touching them once again with a text message and SMS to jump on a video call, when we ask them to, if they don't speak English, what's the language they would like to speak, that we will have the translating services for them. So all of those things really should be part of that equation to make that telemedicine experience, number one, maybe the way that I will replace ever seeing a doctor ever again, unless
yeah,
I have to get tested. Wait, you can also get tested at home. You could get an STI testing kit delivered to your home. So you don't even have to go to a doctor for that. So that the extent of the access that telemedicine offers people in general, not only my fellow MSM, I'm also part of the community, by the way, but everyone today, the access to mental health through telemedicine,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, it's so important. There's so many people that otherwise wouldn't really try to even speak to someone because it just breaks so many barriers. So to answer your question, it's about creating an experience that feels personal. That to me is the most important thing.
Now, how do you do that? Because we're sitting here and I'm staring at a screen talking to you, and
Yeah.
you're trying to convince these patients that are weary anyways to talk to providers at sometimes, right? Or even trust the person across the room. How do you convince that person that, hey, the company that you're marketing for or the people that you're marketing for, that they are trustworthy, that yes, these are people that you could trust
Mhm.
and they're looking out for your best interest?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that question. That's something that I explored and really did a lot of testing in the past. And I'll tell you about one of the tactics that I've applied with other clients as well is start building a relationship with the provider, the person that patient or client will be eventually seeing during their video call, their consultation. It's having an email campaign, for example, in which you are introducing that provider to the patient. You're telling them who they are, where they come from, where have they been before, what is important to them being part of this organization, what are the things that that provider focuses on, and start and letting that patient, that client, start building trust and feel that they know this provider, someone that they've never seen before. That's something that I implemented with in different iterations with 3 separate emails,
Mhm.
5 different email sequences, flows in which you are, try to build that in a way, virtual relationship with that
Yeah.
patient until it's time to have that virtual consultation. But that's just one of many. I think that it also has to do a lot with what is the type of care that you'll
Yeah.
be providing. Is it just for prescription? Is it for mental health? I think that it also varies by the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of businesses and a lot of these telemarketing businesses, especially the startups, have to crack, right? They're trying to acquire these patients, they're trying to acquire their customers, and really you have to convince these the patients that, "Yes, I am here for you, even though I could be thousands of miles away." And in my case, most of the times I am, right, across the Pacific. Now, so what makes LGBTQ plus first telemedicine different from the remainder of the population?
You know what? The main difference is we were just talking about trust.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you get people to
Yeah,
trust and feel like, wait, I'm so used to seeing a doctor in person.
yes,
Why would I do that virtually, online, through a video call? Someone who is part of the community would probably have 10 times more reservations
absolutely.
because of number one, and I'm going to speak from my own experience, privacy, uh,
Yes.
confidentiality, also experience. I don't have those numbers in front of me right now, but a lot of people who are part of the LGBTQ community tend to have a underwhelming and not so positive experience with providers, with doctors. I got to tell you, in 2012, I tried to get PrEP for the first time.
Yeah.
And I only started in 2012 to get PrEP. And I asked my doctor, "Can I get on PrEP?" And she refused to do it. She
Huh.
simply did not want to get me on PrEP. She thought that I didn't need it. She knew that I was gay, but she thought that
Yeah.
I didn't need it because I was in a relationship at the time, but she never really gave me any reasons. She didn't even explain to me why she felt that I shouldn't be on PrEP. And that's not the right protocol. That's not how you, number one, talk to your patient. Number
Yeah,
two,
absolutely.
you don't decline if a patient knows what they want and what they
Yeah.
need, especially if you're a gay man and if you want to do anything that you can for prevention.
Yeah.
that a lot of people, part of my community, have that experience. And it's very hard to trust providers, it's very hard to trust a healthcare system. So I think that that's a big difference. I
Yeah.
think that telemedicine for the community needs to really stress the importance in their messaging, the confidentiality of the service that they'll provide, and also stress the fact that their providers are really experienced in talking and really helping patients who are part of the community. I think that's super important.
Yeah, and good points there, because when I do work and talk to the patients, when I do provide the PrEP medication, that's one of the major things. "Hey, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for acknowledging my concerns." And it's kind of disappointing that us as doctors, as physicians, we are here to help. But then when we ignore, we disparage, and even just straight up not even want to have that conversation, I
Mm,
think is against what we went out to do for. Right.
yeah,
And not getting to the weeds of things, even though if you don't agree, this is our job. We took an oath to do that. And
yeah,
I think it's an important part. And you're right. I get really discouraged when I hear these stories coming out, and, hey, they just straight up ignore me. They did not want you, they refused to, and they didn't even give me a chance to discuss why or why not. Yeah, and I think that's a minimum, at least. If you're gonna say no, at least let's have a discussion why. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe we're worried about your kidney, your liver health. Maybe we're worried about this or that. But no, definitely one of the big concerns out there.
yeah.
Now, going back to what you do in marketing and this and that, getting patients, right? And getting the community to buy into the company that you're working for. How do you do that? Can you walk us through just acquiring the patients? Because this is one of the big questions, especially in any startup, not even just the community, whatever. How do you acquire patients? But now you throw in the extra mixes. How do you acquire patients with a patient population that may not be really that trusting or may be wary of what you're saying?
You know what? There are a lot of different strategies. If we talk about digital only, for example, it's important to understand that one channel alone to grow your patient base is not enough. You have to think about a strategy that includes awareness focused and also intent focused campaigns. So think about where the audience is. Dating apps,
Yeah.
extremely important if you want to really touch your audience where they're highly engaged. There are tons of gay dating apps that are really effective for that. But that shouldn't be your only channel, the only channel in your strategy. You should think about also adding Google ads to your campaign so that you could also give the same audience the opportunity to, when they are actively searching for what you offer, say
Mhm.
a testing near me or free prep in LA, that those campaigns will pop up for them in the browsers, and it will be an additional way in which you will touch that same user, that same patient or client. So I think that when it comes to digital, businesses need to think about all of the different channels out there so that you could create sort of a wall that basically saturates and shows up in front of those people until they really see an opportunity in engaging with your brand and what you're offering. Offers are extremely aggressive. There's some brands that are doing some things that are incredible. I think positioning is also very important. Some brands are very sexually explicit. Some
Mhm.
others are focused on really highlighting the benefits of the easy access and how quickly your medication can be delivered to your home. Others are more focused on position as a very inclusive, more queer focused brand. So I think that at the end of the day, it's very it's very hard to differentiate one from the other. And I think that the opportunities are in offering the best service to that patient from a consultation all the way through delivering the medication to their home. And there's so many things that could not go wrong, but could happen to really not make that a seamless process. Like your medication, the patient never really confirmed their address for that medication to get delivered. So suddenly there's a delay. Or when they were supposed to get tested at home, they never really shipped that testing kit. So it's a process that requires a lot of active participation from the patient. I think that at the end of the day, it's service what really differentiates and will make you successful. But most definitely digital advertising is
Yeah.
what helps you drive conversions, is what helps you drive growth and build that patient base.
So when you talk about diversity of kind of your ads and your outreach, are you talking about Google Ads? Are you talking about also like social media? I'm assuming the
Yeah.
whole days of providing pamphlets and things like that just out the door. So really getting to know how to use that. And so how do you differentiate like what works and what doesn't? Can you give us a good example of kind of a campaign that worked?
Yeah, of course. I think that today, even with for telemedicine, partnering with influencers and content creators really helps in putting a message out there. I feel that when a partnership is strong and when you align with those
Mm.
influences in a way that feels authentic and that really speaks to your audience, you could really move the needle. I have worked in campaigns in the past where we built an entire team of influencers and people who had a big following, not only because they were good looking or they were shirtless in most of the photos,
Right.
but because they had something to say, and they had a highly engaged audience that really believes and find them to be authentic and genuine. That really helps not only in moving the needle for that audience growth for your organization, but also in building brand equity. You, by association, people start recognizing the brand in a positive way. Definitely influencers, but also a successful campaign. And this is the most important thing, Leo. A successful campaign is only measured by having KPIs set in place and tracking constantly. How, if I am going to invest all of these resources, how am I going to measure my success? That is a KPI. What are those metrics? If you don't do that, then you're just simply throwing money away. And no one wants to do that, especially if you're trying to build something from the bottom up. It's extremely important to make sure that every dollar counts.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I've seen a lot of startups that just go in and just, hey, I'm just going to get patients. They're not tracking. That's not a very kind of common piece of knowledge if you're not in marketing. A lot of these startups, and especially the people that listen to this too, a lot of physicians that are trying to create their own startup and trying to create their own telemedicine company don't necessarily know the steps and really the work, constant work that goes into it. No, that's amazing. And now talking about content and getting these people in, and so what do you look for? And a lot of, I think the audience too are people that are trying to get into, creating their own content, maybe marketing their own company or becoming influencers themselves. So what do you look into and how do you find these influencers or people, or really what kind of content that do you look for that's especially successful, especially ones that educate, maybe converts the patients into your customers as well?
Yeah. Something that we take into consideration when we are building a influencer campaign or just putting together content for a campaign is aligning that the imagery that we're going to create with the audience
Yeah.
that we're trying to reach. It's very important for, and now I speak for myself and the team at Chipper Digital. It's extremely important to make sure that there is true representation, that the people that I am trying to reach see themselves represented in not only the language, the lingo, the images that I'm going to be using, but also the channels that I'm going to be placing these ads on. If I am trying to speak to an audience that is mostly queer and
Mhm.
embracing of every single letter in the LGBTQ plus, IA plus. Grinder as a dating app is perfect, but I should also think about Taimi, which is embraces every single color in and letter in the community. So thinking about connecting not only the campaign with the audience, but also the channels that I'm going to be using that are going to be part of that strategy. That's very important. Back to your question, what are we looking for is true representation. Why I have a thing about brands that because they are targeting men who sleep with men, all they do is use shirtless muscle men in their ads. And I tell you, I got to tell you, it works. It doesn't work all the time, and it doesn't work long term. People can see through it. We people in the audience, we see through it. It's bullshit. I'm sorry for my
No,
French.
no worries.
That's something that really inspired me to start Chipper. Growing up in New York, Latino brown kid, it was hard for me to find myself represented anywhere. I
Yeah.
was watching TV, or I would go to. I mean, I would not find myself anywhere, and that's something that always bothered me. And I always thought of that. And when my partner and I decided to start Chipper, that was one of the things that came up for the both of us, because she's a South Asian. Her parents are from India, and she also grew up in the States. And it was the same for her. It's like it was so hard to find myself represented. I think that's important. I always push that on our clients, our partners. Let's change this. Let's change that. We need to use all of these different body shapes and colors. So yeah.
That's a good point, because you're right. The muscled Greek god clickbait that you see all the time. Yeah, exactly, right? Will only get you so far. And
Yeah.
I think that's an important point to make, is really representation. And I think that goes back to the trust issue. Is, hey, I want to talk to somebody that understands me. And right, who else would understand me versus who more would understand me versus a person that is me living my life. Not, you're right, not just this chiseled body type, but the everyday person that you see, that you run into. And it's great that you make that point, because it's often overlooked, right? Because it's too easy. It's too easy to create this expected kind of target, is expected visual, and really not delve deeper. And I think another important point that you made was that people are smart, right? We're not stupid,
Yeah, we're not
right?
stupid.
Right? Most of us.
I know what you're
I can
doing.
point out a couple, but looking past that and looking past the clickbait, and then there's no content. And
Mhm.
going back to the trust issue, how are you gonna trust these if that's all that they think you are? If
Yeah.
the people that you're gonna entrust your care, your lives, your health to just thinks that this is all you think about, that's kind of just turn you off. And I think
Yeah,
that's
it
what a
does.
great
It turns
point
you off.
there.
Yeah, it does turn you off. And you just said it. It's clickbait. Don't get me wrong. You're in a dating app, you see that ad, and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"What is this?" You click on it.
No,
But then
absolutely.
yeah, you click on it, and maybe you will just go through the motions, and then, okay, maybe because everyone is using this service, maybe I will too. And then, wait, this is not very good. That's it. That's we're getting back to what you were saying. This is just it's built on nothing. That it's not lasting. And
Eh,
wait, I'm entrusting my care to you. I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
And how often do you see that actually biting them in the ass, right? And being like, "Oh, it actually turned against you because now you're just like, oh, you're demeaning me because this is all you think that I can't go deeper and to actually figure this out."
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's a great point. And one thing you talked about is the identity and representation, right?
Mhm.
How important is that to a company that you've seen in terms of actually patient acquisition, show rates, continuation rates, and really just sharing the identity?
Yeah.
You know,
We work with a big part of our partners are nonprofits, also community-based
yeah,
organizations that their work is focused on communities that need services that they otherwise wouldn't be able to access if it wasn't for them. So it's a lot of there's that, and there's also a lot of our partners are government agencies, and
mhm,
we run their healthcare initiatives. And a lot of those campaigns, they're focused on audiences that are have limited means. And
Yeah.
those tend to be people of color, Latinos, African American. Representation for them is extremely important because not only that, but also something that is has been happening for at least a year is there's a serious problem with Hep C in several states in the country, and it's concentrated in men who live with men who are under 17 years old. So these are
Huh.
minors. So it's a
Yeah.
big problem. So representation, it's key when you are building these campaigns, and also the channels that you're using to really connect with that audience. We can't place those ads on Facebook. They're not on Facebook. They're hardly using Instagram. They're in TikTok and they're in Snapchat. So that's another thing that should be considered with representation is what is the point of building this campaign that has the right images, the proper language, if I'm not using the right channels. That's still a fruitless effort. Representation goes beyond just having a beautiful production. It takes a lot of thought and a lot of strategy thinking.
And this ties into kind of, I want to mention your company, Chipper, right?
You
Mhm.
built this company to help market within the community. So how let's talk about your company more and really how do you specifically use your expertise through this company to help brands build kind of authentic strategies that work for the community? So the real big question is I'm trying to build out this marketing and trying to build this startup. Why should I turn to you and what tell me why should I trust you with my marketing?
Yeah. I'll tell you that before focusing on LGBTQ audience, I have been doing marketing for over 20 years, and I really work with every type of product you can think of. And I think I can sell anything, and I love product. I really love to really figure out and work on positioning and brand building, brand development. So I'm super passionate about it. But to answer your question about, and I'm always thinking about that also. But besides that, when I decided to start Chipper, one of the things that motivated me to do this was that I struggle as a client, I struggle so much in finding a team that understood what I needed, what I was looking for when I was trying to build campaigns focused on the audience, gay men. I have so many arguments with our directors over models that I wanted to use, body shapes, these and that, because they just don't get it. It
Yeah.
was very hard to find a creative team, an agency out there. I felt that there was a big opportunity here, not only to build something that doesn't really exist. Don't get me wrong, there's some agencies out there, they just don't do it the way that we do it. Really, really thoughtful. So but also because I wanted to work and I want on representation. I wanted to make a change on that. So one of the things that I feel really makes us different is that my team is small. We're a small team. We're just 12 people. 8 of us are part of the community. So we bring our experience into the work that we put together for our partners, from content creators to copywriters to digital strategists to my director of design. We all have our own experience. We speak 7 languages all combined.
No.
So and we are all really passionate about the work that we're doing. First and foremost, telehealth is a big part of healthcare marketing is a big part of the work that we do. We started after we launched Chipper, we started really trying to build other types of client work outside of nonprofits and government agencies because we wanted to get the experience with retail brands.
Yeah.
And also working with that type of company is how we get to really pay the bills to do the work that we care about. Because nonprofits have limited resources. And
Correct.
that's where my heart is in really making a change for these organizations. But we are a team that is super creative. We immersed ourselves in the brands that we work with. And also we collaborate with our partners on an ongoing basis. We're jumping on brainstorming sessions with our partners all at all times. So we are a client focused agency, client focused team. So I think that's one of the reasons why I would definitely hire Chipper.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, your passion definitely shines through, especially the reason why you started, right? You wanted to make a difference. You wanted to care, and really, this is the one avenue to do, right? Is to really focus on the messaging, right? And really genuine messaging. And it really shows that that's your goal. Now, closing up, we are going on time. The one question I always ask people.
Yeah.
So think back to when you first started, right? Day one after graduation, where you're like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Going back to that person, going back in the time machine, meeting that person, what would you tell that person? What life lessons can you tell? Be like, this is what you need to know.
Oh, oh my God. The no. I tell you what, I think that I would tell that person, I would tell Julio right after college, take a year off.
Don't jump in.
Don't jump in just yet. Go travel. It is
Yeah.
something that you know what? It's funny that you're asking that. I was just talking to my niece. She's 16 and she's so excited because she's gonna be done with high school and all that
Right.
stuff, blah blah blah. And she's, oh, I want to start college and I want to immediately. And I'm like, girl, just go and travel. Just go to Europe. I don't know. Disappear for a year. Just do it. And she's so set on going to college. And she's like, no, I want to start working. I'm like, don't. Give yourself some time. You will appreciate it.
You have the rest of your life to do
Yeah.
that. You're only
Yes.
gosh, mortality's coming quick.
That's
Right?
something I would definitely
Looking
tell
back,
myself.
and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, you can't get that time back." No,
Yeah.
that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah. I
Um,
started working really right after college and I never stopped.
and it's funny because I don't know, in my culture, it's just what it is, right? You
Yeah.
you just work. You
Yeah.
go and work, and, and it's different that way. No, you can't have time for yourself and can't enjoy yourself. You need to be a productive role in the community. So,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. No, thank you for that. Now, thank you so much for spending your time and
Of
your
course.
insights. We get, folks, free marketing advice right now. You don't have to pay for it. Thank you. How do people that want to use your services find you? Chipperdigital.io is the website for Chipper Digital.
Oh, yeah.
Email, social handles, how else can they find you?
Yeah. You could email me directly at Julio at chipperdigital.io. I'm always happy to connect with people and talk marketing and solve problems. Throw a problem at me. I'll figure it out, help you out. I love to collaborate and I'm always open to having a chat. And then our Instagram is Chipper Digital, just like that.
Got it. Got it. And if there's any questions or concerns, you could email me at leo@telemedicinetalks.com. Julio, thank you so much for taking your time and expanding your knowledge and really just spending time and just talking about it. And I'd love to hear more. Maybe later on we can get you back on and seeing how you're doing and seeing how you progress and if there's any more life lessons that you could throw at us.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
no,
Leo.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We went.